We live. This is our 120th episode. Thanks for tuning in. Let me bring it up on the phone. There we are right there.
Yep. Well, turn my volume down.
Oh, we got questions. We might have answers. If you got any more questions, you just put them down there. If you're watching the replay of this, put replay in the comments. Let us know you watched it afterwards. We got it brought up. Let me think. We just got done making a bunch of bowstrings and talking to a guy about a bow and talking to Devin Merritt about cocaine and strippers. There he is. I would like to start the podcast by saying maybe he'll make a video about it. But Devin Merritt took it upon himself because we are such an influence in his life that he bought fish and named them Jeremy and TJ. I don't know if that's weird, if we should be honored, freaked out, should lock the doors at night, but
I don't know. Maybe a little all the above, maybe.
Anyway, we got questions.
Yep. Ben gets in and says, have you guys ever had a bow that doesn't like a particular arrow?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of my, like if I get a weird paper tear, but I know everything's perfect, that's one of my first go-tos is like just throw another arrow in it, different brand, different spine, and then if it suddenly starts shooting right, then let's play with that. Because sometimes that happens, and sometimes you have to do other stuff. But yeah, I've had it happen.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on, Dean? What's going on, Bruce? But yeah, it happens. I mean, not a ton, but it does happen. Sometimes I do find if you get into this spine alignment stuff, I've had arrows that would like not shoot if it was like on the weak spine, but would shoot on the stiff spine. You could do like a Noctune and get that out of it if you didn't have all the stuff. But anyway.
Let's see. AJ gets in and says, what do you think the next big bow innovation will be in the next 5 years? I really think they've hit a brick wall. I mean, they're really a 400 feet per second bow that's shootable, that won't jerk your arm off.
I don't think we'll see that.
I don't either.
I don't know. I mean, other than just taking more vibration out, which is very little,
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll see more integrated stuff happen. You know, we already got Hampsky trying to come out with, or trying to get all the bow manufacturers to make an integrated new rest mount. Instead of having that sidebar, it would just mount to the back of the riser, similar to what Matthews has already done, but this would be a universal, every bow have it.
Yep.
You know, Matthews has got the new sight thing that goes into the riser. We could see more of that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Probably more of the, I'm surprised it hadn't happened yet. The switch weight mods on the Matthews where you can change the weight with a module, I can't believe more people hadn't went to that, but I could see it coming with more bows and hopefully more bows with cams or limbs that'll shift left and right so we kind of get away from shims. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
All that stuff would be nice.
Yeah, it would. I mean,
what's going on, Stan? Stan came and visited us Saturday.
Yep.
He didn't bring us any of them good crackers he brought back at Christmas, but he came to see us. It was good to see him.
Vanessa makes them now. Them jokers are good.
My local Bass Pro said that they were not sure about messing with my dragon bow because they'd had bad luck with them. What's your opinion? Love it. Don't mess with cans myself. They're pretty simple to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so far, we really hadn't had any bad luck. I have had a few people ship me their bow, and I really think, and I hadn't really messed with it, but I think what people are doing is you can let the limbs out to where you could change the string on it, but I think people are just doing it on one limb and thinking that one limb's going to let it out and the limb's coming off.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, they're pretty easy to work on. Honestly, you could probably watch a video or two or read, you know, look through that instruction book. I don't know if you're just trying to change draw length or what, but it's super simple and you don't have to have a bow press. Is the video blurry on yours?
I don't know. Let me pull it up.
Do we look blurry? On my phone, we look very blurry.
Not too bad.
Okay. I don't know what's going on.
Not too bad.
The Bearded Shooter. That could have been your name.
Yep. Let me get back to my questions. Zeke gets in. Any cool archery apps you guys recommend? What is there's one, what is it? Archery Sight Tape or Sight Mark?
Sight Mark, and then Devin, what's the one you use for spine? It's okay. I've had it. I've had a couple times the app do a little something weird, but it ain't bad. I think it's either free or just like $1 or $2.
I know there's a new one out there that supposedly has all the Delta McKenzie scoring rings on it. I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head, but I think it's it might be like $2, $3, $4, $5 for it, but supposedly it's got all the ASA scoring rings on the Delta McKenzie targets.
I know there's one called the Bow Bible that I've considered getting, but it's like $30. But it's supposed to got like all the bow specs in it and all this and all that, but I hadn't really looked into it. Q Spine, that's it.
Yep. Trying to think what other archery apps do we use.
There's really not, I hadn't even looked for any in a while. There wasn't any for so long.
Oh, what was the bow sight? Was it Uno? No,
it was Uno. Uno. That was the manufacturer.
Yeah.
I forget. Somebody makes one where you can basically sight in a bow with it. With what I've done, I had it on an iPhone somewhere I had laying around here, but you could punch in what the speed,
peep height,
a couple of things, and literally hold that thing up, say to a pin sight, and it would have your gaps. And we bought it, and we're like, yeah, whatever. And sure enough, a guy came in with a 5-pin sight, and that thing sighted in perfect. He got his 20 and walked out there, and he was like, holy crap. So we used it for a while, and then I don't know why we quit using it. I don't even know where that phone's at.
I think it's like $10. So Danny gets in and says, is there any benefit to a longer or shorter D-loop?
A longer one transfers less torque to the string if you're using, say, a handheld release. So if you're using a handheld and you're twisting it, basically you're twisting the loop, and in turn that's kind of putting some torque on the string. So a longer loop would not affect the string as much. But other than that, a lot of hunting folks come in here and want tiny little short ones. Somebody dropped my phone. But I mean, I guess with a caliper it's fine, you know, but
you just have to be careful when you start getting into the smaller loops that you've actually, depending on what, if you're using a caliper style release and how big your nocks are or how long they are, because you can make it too short and you can't get the jaws in there and push that knock off.
Jeff said the bow Bible's amazing. Any specs on eBay I've made. I might buy. I've thought about buying it. The main reason I want the bow Bible is like if we get a random bow in here, not a common bow, and I don't know off the top of my head like the specs on it, I could punch it in. So I may have to get it.
Let's see. Terry gets in and says, I've developed target panic pretty bad. Any advice?
It's a pain in the butt.
It is.
Basically, take your sight off, shoot for a couple weeks up close, get everything feeling good, put your sight back on, stay at 5 yards for another several weeks. I think the problem with target panic is people rush the process. I'll tell people this, and they'll be like, yeah, I shot for 2 days without my sight, put my sight on, shot at 5 yards per day, and went to 20. Now I got target panic again. You know, what is it? They say it takes like 28 days to relearn something with muscle memory or whatever. You know, literally, you got to take your sight off and shoot and shoot and shoot, and then put your sight on, stay at 5 yards. And at 5 yards, for some reason, the brain is like, this ain't real. I'm just up close, and you can shoot. And then you need to, once you get to 20 yards, you need to feel, or more, you need to feel like you're still at 5 yards, you know, not develop all that. But I think people rush it, and they never get rid of it. But it takes, honestly, it would take a couple months if you really wanted to try to get away from it. I mean, you could change releases. There's a bunch of stuff you could try, but the blank bell situation is what I would do.
Well, that's what happened to me here a few weeks ago. I was been shooting that release now, hadn't had any problems, and all of a sudden it just wasn't going off whenever I knowed it was supposed to, and it was starting to give me some target panic, and I had to break out a backup release, and I'm probably going to contact the company because there is something definitely going wrong or going on with it, and send it back to them, see what they can do. But you know, try switching the release up and see if maybe that's it. I know some people swear going to a hinge where you're not thinking about the shot can, you know, it helps, but I wouldn't recommend going to a hinge if you're, you know, if you're shooting a wrist strap or anything like that.
It honestly, it makes me worse with a hinge because I'm so freaked out about when the thing's gonna shoot. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but Daniel said, do y'all have something you tell yourself before or during the execution of your shot, or do we just grip it and rip it? I've heard TJ doing this like chant. No, I'm kidding. I don't guess I do.
I just make sure I'm sitting there thinking, okay, make sure my sight tape's on the right mark and there's air in the bow. And that's pretty much, them two things is pretty much what I'm thinking about on the shot. And that's about it.
Bree guy says he has the worst diarrhea.
Oh, Lord.
Explosive? Thanks for letting us know.
But Alan gets in and says, what's our favorite cable-driven drop-away?
I guess the good old-fashioned QAD.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's other ones on the market, but I guess the QAD, you know, and that's still a very popular rest. A lot of people are going limb-driven, and we went limb-driven, but, you know, QAD is still a good. You hold your air good, and, you know, as long as you keep your timing good and that sort of thing.
I've noticed, I'm seeing a lot of those, what's the HHA, the Virtues?
Yeah.
Well, I've seen a lot of them come through the shop.
He said funny that I read it aloud.
So, I don't know what a favorite cable driven would be. I hadn't shot one in a while now. I guess it would be the QAD because I did shoot them before and I've had good luck with them. So
yeah, we both shoot Hamskys, but this guy was wanting cable driven specific.
Michael gets in and says, "Do you guys use any spine software? And if we do, which one do we recommend?"
I like Archer's Advantage the best. I think I've got all three. I've got the Tap and the Archer's Advantage, and what's the other one? I got them all three on that computer over there, but I don't know if it's just I'm used to Archer's Advantage. I remember when Archer's Advantage came out, I want to say it was 97, 98. It was on a floppy disk. I still got it somewhere. And I bought it, and it was like, because back then, I guess people don't even know this now, but, you know, in the old days, the on a slide bar, you'd have like a conversion table. So like 22.7 might be 15 yards and 24.9 might be 20 and all that. And you'd have to have your little chart and be like, all right, this is how many yards, and you'd dial your sight to it. So there in the late 90s, Archer's Advantage come out, and I could punch in all that stuff, and it would print out the sight tape. We'd stick it on our slide bar, and boom, you put it on 40 or 50 or whatever, and it's that. And I remember going to shoots initially, and people being mind blown, you know what I mean? And but anyway, I like Archer's Advantage. Archer's Advantage online, I think it's the website you can go through, and it's only like $10 or $15 a year, but good people.
Yep. And who is it? On Target, they have the app that's on your phone. What was one?
On Target's the other one, and then Tap.
And then Devin uses the Q-Spine. So
we are going to do some 3D shoots at the shop this summer. I haven't got any dates yet. Just kind of waiting for spring to get good in here. But when shooting 3D, to use glue and field points, what's the advantage? Yeah, honestly, main advantage is just they don't rattle loose and that sort of thing, you know. That's about basically it.
And plus, you know, we're using a bigger size air shaft, so, which I mean, still, if you run, you know, standard size, they make glue-in tips for those too, so no biggie on that. David gets in and says, I set my bow up with the air dead level, center shot at 13/16, cams are in time, and I can't see any cam lean. I'm getting a significant tail left tear and crazy aeroflight. Bow is a Matthews V327. Any advice?
I would, like, if that was here, I'd get somebody else to shoot it and verify that they get the same tear. I want to make sure it ain't me, you know, because the grip on these new bows with a lot of let off, which is basically any bow now, just the tiniest little bit of grip difference can throw this thing out of whack. But so if TJ shot it and Partain shot it and we got the same tear on that particular bow, I'd probably go ahead and flip my top hats. And I don't want to look at it, but hopefully that would move your cam to the left a little bit, and most likely would clear it up. If that didn't work, you'd have to order or just go to a Matthews dealer, but start changing out different size top hats. But I bet we've had a couple bows like that, flip them, good to go.
Paul gets in and says, random questions. Do y'all see more trouble out of crossbows versus regular compounds?
Yeah, well, if you look at a percent, like, I'd say crossbows are like 15-20% of what we do. But if you look at that 15 or 20%, there is a lot of trouble. I mean, especially because I think people, they go buy $300 crossbows. They don't change the strings on them. They don't put rail lube on them, and then they just shoot them, and it blows up. Or they leave them in a hot car. They leave them cocked. There's just so much. I hate to say it, but it's like the crossbow people don't. A lot of them, not all of them, but don't know a lot about bows in general. They're just wanting to get the rifle season.
Yeah.
And they're doing stupid stuff.
Yeah.
But we see a lot of craziness with crossbows. I mean, we do with bows too, but if you look at the big picture, I don't know. It's. I had a guy one time left a Barnett Ghost something another cocked in his truck for like 3 days in the middle of the summer, and it, when I say exploded, the riser of the crossbow broke in half, tore. I think it busted out his backside window. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, we get all kinds of stories like that about midsummer.
Yeah. Bill gets in and says, my son looks like his eyes are equally dominant. Any tips on how to have him shoot?
Honestly, you'll probably just have to have him close one or put a patch on. And honestly, the patch works great, but a lot of people don't want to wear it because it makes you look like a stoop.
You can get the blinder that goes on your hat or the one that comes off the side of the scope.
Yeah, any of that would work.
Yeah.
But late at the party, just heard the comment about the bow Bible. Have it. For some bows, it's great. Not all bows have full information. I talked to another guy, a buddy of mine that owns a shop in the Midwest, and he said he had it. And he said, you know, he liked it, but he had told me like 2 or 3 specs he'd looked up, I guess, wasn't right, and it kind of scared him away from it. And that's when I was like, I might wait and see. But what's your take on the Arizona Easy Mini Fletch? I love it. Honestly, I actually use that here. We got a bunch of them. Average hunting arrow guy comes in and needs some fletching done, we can knock it out quick while he's waiting. But then on the other hand, you know, if somebody's wanting a specific helical or something crazy, you know, we'll break out the Bitzenberger or the old Veinmaster Pro. But I like it for 70% of what we do here. It is great and it's quick.
Yeah. Carl says we should go to an ASA shoot and video us shooting. I've never been to an ASA shoot, but would love to see one of your videos from there.
They actually won't let you. You got to get all this media pass stuff, and if you're shooting, you're not even supposed to have a cell phone with you. And we seen somebody get busted a few years ago, but it's sort of.
They're a little strict on the cell phone stuff.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I think, I don't know how it all works. I guess you could go, like we could go shoot and have somebody come as a spectator behind the line or whatever in video, but they wouldn't necessarily be able to go down to the target. And we definitely couldn't like put the camera at the target or nothing. But
no. Those targets and ranges are so close together that, I mean.
ASA is a whole different beast.
It is a totally different beast. Eric says, how many arrows should I shoot a day?
Mm, there's really not a specific number. Don't overshoot. You know what I mean? Like if you get tired after 40 or 50 shots, stop. Don't just keep. You know. But you know, if you shot a couple dozen a day, that'd be good just to keep your form good and all that. You know, and if you did shoot a couple hundred, that's fine too. Just don't overdo it. Heard that Easy Fletch gives you more helical than either jig. I only use the last in archery. It goes to 5 degrees. The cool thing about the Easy Fletch is, like, once you get some glue built up on it and stuff from fletching, well, I've got a mason jar of acetone that everybody comes in here thinks moonshine, but you just stick it in there for 30 minutes. Literally, the glue falls off. Whatever kind of plastic they used, the acetone don't affect it or whatever. Pull it out, let it dry off for a few minutes, and it's like brand hammer new. So I can take like 2 of those. Let's say somebody brings in 2 dozen arrows. I'll get all my stuff ready real quick. Take 2 of them Easy Fletches, and basically, fast as I can get one clamped and I'll sit it down. I'll grab the other one, do it. I'll just go back and forth, and you can fletch a dozen arrows in 10, 15 minutes. You know what I mean? You can buzz them, and they look. It's not like very rare is it that something's wrong. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's but I just like it. I mean, it's easy, spring loaded, so it keeps pressure on the vanes, and I don't really have any complaints. I remember when they first came out, I was like, that's plastic junk, whatever. I don't even remember how I ended up with one. And then I tried it, and I was like, this is kind of neat. And then when I found out about you just dip it in acetone, and it was so easy to use, I was like, okay, I'm kind of sold on this deal.
Chad wants to know how much benefit is there to shooting a longer axle to axle, or a longer bow, but I'm pretty sure he means axle to axle.
It's just, the demo I used to show people is like if you had just imagine you had a 12-inch arrow and a 30-inch arrow. If you had it between your fingers, the 12-inch arrow is just going to twist back and forth real quick, but the 30-inch is going to take a little more effort and it's going to move a little bit slower. Same thing with a bow. A longer bow is going to take more time and effort and all this to move around versus a little bitty bow that's going to be, all over. For example, those gearhead bows that we've played with, it's like 18 inches. I mean, it feels like a slingshot. It's like you're good out to 30, at 40, the group's opening up, you try not, but then you take like what we shoot for our tournament bows, big blocky thing, and it's like, it don't move, it's heavy, but it don't move. Hey, one more question about the Easy Fletch and jig. Is it dummy proof? You close your hand. I load my vanes, arrow in, glue. Then let me think about this. I close it, do the spring, I hold it with this hand, push the spring up, activate the spring, put the cap on, and then I'll make sure the cap's on good. And if I just got one of them, sometimes I'll just sit there and kind of spin it and squeeze it for whatever reason. But I mean, you don't need to do that. But maybe I'll make a video. I don't think I've ever made a video on anything like that. Maybe that'd be a cool video.
Ain't Bonin does Bonin make one that kind of the same thing called the tower jig where it goes
similar,
in?
Yeah, and it closes it. Yeah.
I hadn't played with it a lot. But that was all the questions I had.
That'd be it. Yes, sir. It sucks because locally, there's not a local shoot for a while. I think we got a little break here. Well, and I didn't think about it. Dean brought it up. I think I didn't even think about it being the end of March. Our turkey season's about to get going. So I guess for turkey season, everything's calming down. And I hadn't even put a thought into it, but it's going to be kind of boring. Then we got the Southeast Total Archery Challenge here about a little less than 2 months. I'll definitely video that.
Yeah.
And I don't know what else. We got some more prime bows came in. The Bowtech CP28 came in. Got some Black Eagles coming finally. Spot Hog, I think, is going to ship in a couple weeks. That's what they were acting like. Yeah,
the rep said he would have to get back to me, but I I haven't heard back from our rep, so I'm hoping, if I remember right, he said it was probably around the first week or two in April, I'm hoping.
You're welcome, Daniel. I'm just glad we had some shims. I got a what was the first bow with the shims? That would have been, was it the Black Series?
CT.
When they first started talking about shims, we were like, send us some. And when you messaged me about sending you some with a string, I was like, I knew in my head, I thought we had some, and TJ found them. So I'm glad that worked out.
Or did they have shims with the CT?
I don't know if the CT had.
I don't think it did.
I think it was the Black Series.
It probably was.
I think. But I reckon we'll get off here. Y'all, I'm going to put a string set, get the damn zebras off. Zebras are hit or miss, you know what I mean? I've actually seen some okay zebras, and then I've seen some zebras that were, I think it's just the bigger, you know, that company like that's making so many string sets, you can't keep them perfect. And, you know, the bigger the company, I think the harder it is to keep them right. But it really, compared to the old zebras, used to, they were complete trash.
Yeah.
But lately they're almost okay, or a lot of them are okay. But I remember I ordered, this is like 2002, 1, whatever year, I ordered a Matthews Q2 when we worked at the other shop when it was still open. And that joker came in, ordered it 70 pounds, whatever. It came in on like 81 pounds or something, and I was like, good God. So I called him right away, and I was like, what in the world? He said, take your strings and cables off and measure them. And I mean, the string was like 7/8 of an inch off, and the cable was way out of whack. And I was like, man, that's when I was like, I was already making strings then, but that was before like air stretchers and all this fancy equipment we got now. This was back in the days of you just hand making it. And I was still a lot of times just shooting whatever came on the bow for at least for a while. And that's when I was like, all right, I'm not shooting factory stuff anymore. But it's crazy how strings have evolved.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, we'll get off here. Leave y'all be, but thanks for tuning in. If you got any questions, let us know. If you don't mind, if you're watching live, real quick, punch live into the little chat box. If you're watching the replay, put replay. I always keep up, or just, I don't keep like exact numbers, but I just kind of, if it ever gets to where it's mainly people watching the replay, we'd probably go back to pre-recording this type of thing. But I kind of enjoy the interaction, so. Who makes stock strings for Hoyt? They make them in-house, and they call their sets fuse strings. And they're okay, you know what I mean? They're not awful. I mean, the last several Hoyts just came through with them on. I hadn't seen anything too crazy.
There's not too many bow companies out there now that don't do their own strings in-house, especially on the higher end bows.
Yeah, Bowtech's got their Octane stuff. Prime don't really have a name for theirs, but they make them in-house.
Yeah.
Who else? PSC makes theirs mostly in-house.
Yeah.
Live Wire, I think they call theirs.
Bayer makes a few in-house, am I right? Or are they strictly...
I think Head Hunters or somebody like that's like their people, but I don't know how that works.
I don't either.
But yeah. But yeah, thank y'all for tuning in. If you got any questions, stick them on here. We'll get them next week, or email us, or Facebook, or however you find us. We'll be happy to, or just get on next week and type it in.
Yep.
But we appreciate y'all, and we'll see y'all here in hopefully a few days.
See y'all.